Well, good afternoon, folks. It's the real Captain Kirk here. It's the last day of 2022. Hard to believe here. So, happy New Year's Eve. We'll share some family vacation photos here at the end. For the 58,000 Facebook fans that like to see Angelina and skip the boring weather, you'll like the last half of today's video here. But we'll talk about the weather here. It is changing pretty dramatically here. So, if we look at huge change here from just a week ago. So, Christmas, again, coldest in 33 years. Obviously, this weekend here is much, much warmer here. We're trending the warmest New Year's Eve period here, warmest in 23 years for the U.S. overall. So huge change in the weather pattern. We'll talk about that. Polar Vortex is the culprit. Looking at the Q4 November trends for our retail clients here. So chart left is the trends, U.S. trends versus last year, temperature trends, and chart right is temperatures versus average. We see two pretty significant cold snaps here in mid to late November and mid to late December. Obviously, that Christmas period was pretty epic, coldest in 33 years. Many locations, even like New York City, second coldest in history. So cold for sure. Really great demand for seasonal merchandise, electric bedding, fire logs, you name it, coats, gloves, mittens, boots, anything, auto battery failures, everything will do well in this extreme cold that we had here around Christmas. As you can see, though, the trends going into January are, again, quite a bit milder. So for sure, a milder start to January here in the U.S. And we can blame that on the polar vortex. So when it's ragged and weak, as it was a couple weeks ago, again, you get these major intrusions of Arctic air. When it's stronger like this and more symmetrical, not so much. So it's pretty much bottled up in Siberia, Russia right now, and that's probably where it's going to stay here for at least the next couple of weeks. Looking at a recap here of last week, a week ending here this evening. Here in the U.S., about 3.7, cooler than last year. Again, had some of that really cold weather at the beginning of the week, and now the milder trends. Still overall, the week is coldest in 5 years, 16th warmest in 37 years, so above average. Drier, 21% drier, least in 5 years. About average on that front. 69% less snow than last year. Don't tell folks that in Buffalo that have over 101 inches of snow so far. Only 10 last year. Least in 11 years in terms of snowfall here nationally. Fourth least in 37 years. So not much snow out there. Real warm spot would be across Europe. Number one warmest. Some of the colder spots would be down under in Australia, where again they continue to have their cold spring. Brazil, coldest in actually summer now for them. Coldest in 31 years down in Brazil. Maps since that left are the precip and temp trends versus average. Good news here on the flu front. It looks like we've have what's called a spike season versus a dome season. Let's hope. So very early, earliest since 2009 for this major flu spike, type A. Similar to last year, but way above average in terms of last year's flu season. But again, hopefully on the way down. COVID non-existent, but nowhere near as what it was last year's during the Omicron huge spike that infected. Probably most of the population was exposed during the Christmas, early January period last year. So in part why we don't see the huge spike this year. If we look at season-to-date snowfall trends here through the 31st of December, about 83% more snow than last year, most in 3 years. Only about 1% above average, but again, an uptick over last year. 17th most in 37 years. So heavy mountain snows in the west. That's good news. They need it for their drought situation. Looking at this week here, the first full week of January here in the U.S., about 10.6 degrees warmer than last year. That's pretty epic. Warmest in 15 years, third warmest in 38 years. This is good for store traffic and clearance sales, but again, probably bought all the winter gear you need at this point, and probably going to see some slowing demand. Precip trends are versus average here. Again, about 14% more than last year, wettest in 3 years, 16th wettest in 38 years. So about average. Heavy mountain snow in California, they will take it for sure. Looking at snowfall trends here, this is a 6-day outlook. Looking here today, again, some snow in the Rocky Mountains, the Sierras, heavier on Sunday tomorrow. That system wanes and moves out into the plains in the Midwest as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe, and then pretty much fizzles. Not much for the East. Again, good news. Buffalo's going to get a reprieve here, so not much. They don't want any more, I'm sure. They got a season's worth of snow already. The 6-day snowfall trend here just shows that the U.S., again, 67% less than last year, 50% below average. So a lot of snow in the west, but again, not where a lot of people live. Looking at the second week of January here in the U.S., we're about 5.2 warmer than a year ago, warmest in 17 years, third warmest in 38 years. So cooling a bit in the west. Trends moderate from the extreme temperatures here in the east. So still well above average, but not the extreme conditions we're having here this week. And we just aggregate these trends here for the first 2 weeks of January. You can see that polar vortex is pretty much across the northern Russia, Moscow area, and then Siberia. Again, that's pretty much where it's bottled up right now. So that's why it's way below average there, and pretty much the rest of North America above average. We'll end here with some fun. Again, escape the one perk of being a long-range weather guy is you can kind of tell when you need to escape cold. So we navigated the U.S. Virgin Islands, again, for the 58,000 Angelina Kirk fans on Facebook. Again, I know this will make you happy here, but the little one was just as happy as she could be, escaping to the paradise. We haven't had a real vacation in several years due to COVID, but again, just absolutely love the warm weather down there, the beautiful flowers. Everybody's super friendly. So if you ever want to hit a nice spot, Virgin Islands certainly were a hit here with the family. It was kind of fun to watch a seaplane land right in front of us as a rainbow was emerging. So it was interesting to experience that. Hit some cool beaches, Trunk Bay, Honeymoon Beach, Maho Bay on St. John's, if you want to. World class, just epic beaches. Not a lot of folks there, but again, it was beautiful white sand and water was 81 degrees. So again, just had a great time in paradise. So you can blame us for the cold and also help us for the bringing back the warm weather with us. As soon as we got back, it got much warmer. Little one learned how to paddleboard. She was epic. I couldn't do it despite all my efforts here on this blow up paddleboard, but she did a great job. Again, anywhere we saw a palm tree, we certainly took a picture. And again, white sand beaches were just epic. Our little Christmas, the first one, Sandman, as little one called it Sandy, got splatted by a big wave, and so we made a bigger one here to. And then we had a lot of folks coming by our Sandman to take pictures with him on Christmas Eve. So water was just gorgeous. The snorkeling was great. Fish were awesome. So everything about this was just a fun vacation. So hope you had a great Christmas and a great New Year's, and we will talk to you again in 2023.